Nightmare of Decay. So I saw this game a few months ago in one of these survival horror groups that I'm on Facebook, and most people, I'd say at least most people were praising it. They had a lot of fun with it. There were some people saying it wasn't very good. I figured I'd go ahead and check it out on Steam. The Steam page had very positive reviews for it. The reviews were helpful in there. We know Steam reviews sometimes they can't be that helpful, but they were pretty helpful. I really did enjoy this, the screenshots and the trailer for it. So I figured, why not? Let's go ahead and pick it up and try it out. I mean, the game was only $5, right? Worst case, this game sucks, and I wasted $5. Not going to be the end of the world. So I figured, why not? Let's go ahead and try it. A high level overview in case anyone watching the review wants to play it or beat it first before they go through, because I am going to go in depth in this review, and there will be spoilers and stuff. So for a high level review, game's definitely worth the $5. I definitely suggest playing it if you are a fan of the old survival horror games. Challenging, it's a little challenging. Definitely can run out of ammo pretty fast. Just like the old Resident Evil games and stuff. A lot of times, if you can run instead of fighting off the bat, it would be better. Puzzle wise, not super difficult. A lot of callbacks to original puzzles from games like Silent Hill 2 and Resident Evil 1. Nothing that's gonna make your brain bleed, but the game also isn't going to hold your hand. It's not going to be like, oh, you need to go to this room. Like, it's just going to tell you, and well, here's a clock, right? Here's a clock. Well, obviously it's a keyhole, so you need a key, but it's not going to tell you where to find the key. It's not going to tell you anything about it at all. That's going to be up to you to figure it out. If you've never played any of these old survival horror games, it's going to be a really breath of fresh air for you. But like I said, high level review, definitely worth the $5. So if you are on PC, currently the game is only on PC. If you're on PC, it's definitely worth the $5 and play it. Nightmare of Decay is a first-person action horror game set in a nightmarish manor. Being that it's a first-person survival horror game, shooting zombies and stuff isn't necessarily difficult with first-person shooters, but it does make it difficult enough that you're still tempted to run. With the OG Resident Evil games, you had the challenge of like fixed camera angles, which at times you couldn't even see the zombie or the creatures, right? You could just hear them walking or you could hear the sounds. So, at times you just point, aim, and shoot and hope that you hear the zombies taking damage. So, with a first person shooter, you don't have this issue, right? So, how do you make a first person shooter horror, survival horror, the same difficulty as your OG fixed camera angle third person games? Recoil. That's pretty much how they did it, was recoil. Even though recoil would fall under the gunplay part of this review, I did want to talk about it separate because it really, was a big part of this game, right? So, in my opinion, the recoil in this game helps you from becoming like the Demon Slayer, right? You'll notice that with every shot, your aim cursor, it widens, like the arrows will widen apart. If you wait a second or two, it's usually about like 1 second, you'll see the arrows actually fall back together. If you fire while these cursor arrows are open, your shots are extremely inaccurate, especially with the shotgun. So this is kind of cool with the shotgun. With the shotgun, a shotgun point blank, regardless, this is gonna wreck shit, right? It's just gonna wreck things. I did notice though when I was using the shotgun, especially like the end boss battle, if you're shooting just randomly, just constantly without letting those recoil arrows fall back into place, the shotgun shots were like half the damage that normally would be. So, in my opinion, the recoil was actually a really cool aspect of this game because it kept it to the point to where you couldn't just fire like a madman, right? You would have to think about your shots, especially how inaccurate they are, right? You could be just aiming at the same exact spot you were at, and if you fire, like without letting that recoil or letting those arrows fall back into place, your shot would go off way off screen. Um, Kind of sometimes a little ridiculous how inaccurate it would be if you're shooting while the recoil or the aim cursor was open. But I felt like this was a really cool way to have a first person survival horror shooter and still not make it a power fantasy. Like you still had that, okay, let me fire, okay, fire, wait, fire, wait, okay, maybe they're getting too close. Let me go ahead and fire, drop back a few feet, and then start firing again. I did find this to be a really cool little gameplay mechanic that helped keep the game, very tense. Another cool gameplay tactic for this was stamina. So, unlike games like Silent Hill, Resident Evil, where you could just run all day long, right? You actually had a energy bar and a stamina bar, and it only ever took place though if you were actually had enemies around, which is another cool thing because it would suck to not be able to run nonstop if there was no monsters, right? But anytime there's any sort of danger enemy around, you'll have a stamina bar and you can run, and once that bar runs out, you'll like just hella slow down and pretty much you'll crawl. Like the shift button, stamina bar starts to increase again and fill back up. So I thought that even though it's a really simple gameplay mechanic, it actually was really cool because this meant that you couldn't, especially with in boss fights, that you wouldn't be able to just run nonstop. You'd have to run a bit, stop, shoot, run, stop, and make sure that bar did not run out. So cool little feature that made a big difference in terms of like strategy and stuff when it came to the game, and I really did appreciate it. And it'd be kind of cool to see it in other games. I think would add a level of attention, especially maybe like imagine Silent Hill or Resident Evil. If you can just run nonstop, you'd have to like run out of breath. Because Harry in Silent Hill 1 will start to breathe heavy and stuff if you have been running for a bit and then stop. It doesn't stop him from continuously running, but it's a nice little like design for a PS1 game. So the stamina bar I did think was a pretty cool feature, and sometimes I would be running and I forget about it and I'd be like, fuck, and I have to sit there for a second and wait for the bar to fill back up before I could take off running again. Shooting in this game feels good, even with the recoil. There's no zoom, but it's not needed. I was never at a point in the game where I was shooting at a monster 50 feet away. Every gun also felt like it had a purpose, and none of them felt useless when you started collecting more powerful weapons. Even in the final boss battle, I was using all the weapons I had. The pistol is good for long range attacks, as well as taking out annoying attacks from like bosses or even little creatures, not little creatures, but the weaker creatures. The shotgun is good for clearing out zombies in the jam, just like your OG's survival or Resident Evil games. One shot to the head usually pops it straight off. If you get zombies close together, sometimes you can take out two zombies with one shot. Um, you know, the Magnum is a powerhouse, just like other survival horror games. But it had a really good twist with that. So with the Magnum, you kind of have to like charge your shot up, and you have to actually hold the trigger, and you'll start to see the chamber slowly turning and then firing. I felt this was kind of cool because it meant that you would have to time your attacks very well. And given how powerful this weapon was, I felt that that was a pretty good twist, and it was actually pretty cool. Um, Ammo is pretty limited in this game. My first run through, I did kind of run out of ammo in some spots. I think that was more my fault in a sense, though. At first, I kind of was treating this game as it'd be plenty of ammo because I only played a normal my first run through, and that's not necessarily the case. There's some creatures that are, you know, bullet sponges, so you can run out of ammo pretty quick if you are not being conservative with it. So, but like I said, all the weapons, the pistol is one of the first weapons you get in the game, and I still found myself using it all the way to the very end. Just like the shotgun was a great weapon, and the Magnum. Melee combat felt good in this game as well. Pretty surprising. So you start out with the knife, of course, just like Resident Evil. It's not terrible, but it can work. You'll be doing a lot of hit and run tactics with it. There's actually an achievement to complete the whole game with the knife. Seeing how the final boss is pretty difficult, I'm not sure how this is going to work, but I am looking forward to trying it. There's a crowbar, looks just like the crowbar in Half-Life. It was a nice little callback, but it actually works out really well. I used the crowbar against some of the creatures. There's these like mummy looking creatures that worked really good against them, especially with like a hit kind of dodge back, tactic. I did see in some people's playthroughs that they had a machete. I didn't use that yet. I didn't see it during my playthrough. I must have missed it, or I'm not quite sure if it's unlocked after you beat the game. I didn't get a chance to use it, but you know, I did find myself using the crowbar a good amount of time, especially when I was getting low on ammo, or if I was coming against creatures that could take hits and run away from. So, don't be afraid to use the crowbar in this game. It works pretty much as well as it does in Half-Life. There are some throwing weapons. I found two throwing explosive weapons in my playthrough. That was dynamite and holy water. Holy water is boss. I used it on the final boss battle, and two bottles nearly killed him on normal. It's really weird though. I only saw 3 bottles the whole game. Two came from doing a side quest, and the last one was you can only get by defeating this monstrous beast that I just ran away from because I only had low ammo and health. Dynamite was pretty good. It's good for clearing out like a lot of zombies. You find yourself stuck or surrounded. Dynamite can also be good for boss battles as well. It does take a few seconds to actually light it and then for it to blow up after throwing it. Holy water gets used on impact, like a splash damage sort of weapon. Like I said, holy water is going to be your best friend if you can make sure to find it. Like I said, in my playthrough, I only saw 3 bottles. I'm sure there's more, maybe if you find them somewhere else. Dynamite, I found a little bit. I didn't find too much dynamite, and I didn't use it that often. Like I said, I used it for like maybe 1 or 2 rooms where I was surrounded by enemies. But overall, it was a nice addition to the roster weapons. I did enjoy the throwing weapons aspect of it. I really enjoyed the puzzles in this game. Each one was definitely a callback to old survival horror games, but they had their own twists. So I did see people talking about like the puzzles were mostly just copies of other games, and I can agree with that a little bit to an extent. But I felt like even though like the premise of it was kind of like a direct copy, they had their own twist to it. For instance, like one of the first puzzles you come across is in the dining room, right, and on the fireplace, and it's a 3 coin puzzle, like the one from Silent Hill 2. But they didn't just like copy what the coins meant or what they said in descriptions of them. Even like the main puzzle was not a description or a copy of Silent Hill 2. It had its own twist to it. You also had um, other callback puzzles from like Resident Evil 1, Amnesia, and such. But like I said, they all had their own little twist, and I found them to be very enjoyable, and I found them also to like the hints were there, but it was just still difficult enough that you had to step back and actually think about it. Right? You had to be like, okay, let's think here. Well, obviously I gotta go find them. The coin puzzle was one of my favorite, especially going and finding the coins. Every time you found one of the coins, there was a little bit of a surprise waiting for you. I did enjoy the clock puzzle on the second floor, and the little callback to Resident Evil 1 with the pool table. That was pretty cool. Like I said, even though they did have some, they were based on puzzles from original games. They still had their own twists, and it was good. It was fun. Don't I would call them inspired. I wouldn't call it a ripoff. I would definitely call it inspired. And so I definitely enjoyed them. And there was enough puzzles in the game to keep you engaged. Oh, so let's talk monsters, right? Of course, you have your zombies. They look great and they play like original Resident Evil zombies. When they grab an attack sequence, they give you a great, good sense of tension. You can get grabbed and you still have a good like a second or so to actually knock them back, whether that be with the crowbar or using a gun. The zombies by themselves are no real threat. It's like, the Resident Evil games. But once you get a grip of them, that's when things start to get a little troubling. Some of them kind of were bullet sponges. It was kind of weird. Some of them were bullet sponges. Some were just like 1 or 2 shots and dead. Um, I did find that they do that same thing that Resident Evil does, where like they'll just randomly just like walk into the wall while staring at you. I thought that was kind of funny, nice little callback. It gives you a chance to run past them. Even when they do grab you, like I said, though, you still like you're not going to just immediately take damage. You do have a second or so to run away or to get out of it. It was pretty good. The dogs, they don't appear often in the game. Kind of disappointing. Wish they would have been in the game a little more. But they do die pretty quick as well, just like Resident Evil zombies. Few well placed shots and they're dropped. Their speed can be kind of deadly though, especially when they get close to you. If they get close to you and you haven't started dropping them yet, they are gonna take some bites out of you. I thought their red eyes, the red glowing eyes, is a pretty cool design on them. I did come across these cult members. I think they're speaking Latin. I don't know. I didn't understand the language they were speaking. Um, they are only humans, so they only take a few shots to kill them, but they run away pretty quickly and they fire back at you with guns, shotguns, pistols. So they are one of the more dangerous creatures in the game as they can drain your health pretty quick. There was actually some pretty cool cutscenes with them. I did enjoy them as an enemy. It was pretty shocking too. Not shocking, but surprising. I didn't expect to see them. I remember the first time that you came across them, I was like, huh, I feel like these guys are not going to be nice. But, me being, give them a chance, I tried just to walk up straight to them and they started blasting me. So at that point, I was like, all right, well, I started blasting. Um, the spiders, they were pretty cool. Actually, they were really cool. I actually like the spiders. I'm kind of a little disappointed that they were only in the one area of the game. Um, you do see for the first few rooms that they're in, they're like the smaller versions of them. Not too difficult. Especially when they run up to you and they get ready to do their jump attack, you just jump back and they shell together. But if they do get their hands on you, they do damage pretty quickly. So just make sure not to get a hold of them. The spider boss, that was a really cool boss. Nice little callback to Resident Evil 1. Pretty difficult. We'll get more into that in the boss section of the review. But like I said, I was a little disappointed they weren't farther in the game. At least I didn't come across them. I'm pretty sure I searched every level in the story mode and I did not see them other than the one section before the boss battle. This monster chest, by the way. So this like Dark Souls, they had a monster chest. There's only one in the game, and it was actually really nice because it caught me off guard. Hella caught me off guard. It was pretty tough too, actually. Once you activate it, you just start running away as soon as you can, get as much distance because it's fast and it will do a lot of damage. I, of course, was shocked by it. I was like, huh, this that looks a little weird. Chest is doing something a little different. And all of a sudden it started taking bites out of me. And I was just like, oh shit. This is one of those monster chests from like Dark Souls. That was kind of a nice little callback and a fun little creature. Like I said, I only found one in the game, so it was actually pretty cool. There's like these mummy monsters too as you get closer or farther down in the dungeon. They don't look like the hunters, but they remind me of the hunters and the way they move and how fast they attack. Their attack is a wind up and it does a lot of damage. So it's actually pretty good to use a crowbar against them because if you let them come, if you could time it correctly, you could do like either a quick attack or a power attack. And by the time they're getting into wind up, you'll hit them and you'll actually stun them back, giving you more time to hit them. And never taking damage if you can get it right. It might take a few seconds to get to it, but like I said, a few attacks and they'll be done. But they only take a few hits to kill you. They're one of the stronger enemies in the game. And then we come across two skeletons because why not, right? The skeletons, they're in the dungeon. Once you hit the dungeon, you'll come across them. There's two different versions of them. There's a shield then are shield skeletons, and then there's non-shield ones. So the ones without the shields, they move very fast and they strike fast, but they're extremely weak. You're using a crowbar, one or two hits. Use the pistol, even so much as one headshot could kill them. The shield ones, they get a little more difficult because they hold that shield up literally till they get right in your face, and then they strike, and then they shield, and they strike, and they shield. Very good tactic, right? Cool thing in this game is the shield can break piece by piece, right? So if you're using a melee weapon, of course, I think it breaks the whole shield after a few hits. But this is where the pistol comes in handy, right? You can go ahead and break off the little piece of the middle of the shield, top middle of the shield, expose their head, and one or two shots, boom, drop them, right? But that comes back to the whole tactic of shoot, run, and recoil can kind of make that sometimes a little difficult. You don't see them a whole lot in the game. Like I said, I saw them in certain parts of the dungeon and then also the final boss battle. More annoying than anything, but not something too difficult if you get some well placed shots on them. There was this goat looking monster. I only saw this though at the boss battle. Much like the mummy creatures, real fast, strikes fast, can hurt, but there's a wind up attack. So if you hit him before in the middle of the wind up attack, it stuns them and you can keep going. Overall, great monster design. Had a lot of fun with the creatures in this game. Like I said, definitely a lot of fun. Boss fights. Boss fights were great. I actually had a lot of fun with them. I think probably my favorite boss fight out of all of them was the three knights you had to fight after you placed the crown on the king statue. The archer wasn't too difficult in this. He just ran away and at the start of the fight. And if you go to the opposite direction or the opposite corner of the room, he's never going to see you because there's a wall blocking you. So you can focus on the other two knights. The other two are definitely difficult. The sword and the mace knight. They have some teeth on them. They definitely, each attack hurts a lot. This is actually where the Magnum came in very handy because at least on normal mode, one or two shots would pretty much drop them all the way down to low health and to just take them out with a pistol or shotgun. That's how I dealt with them, and then just ran up to the archer and took him out real quick. That was probably my favorite boss battle out of it. The huge spider that I had talked about in the monster section of the review. So there's this huge spider, right? It's got a great intro, probably the best intro out of all the bosses. You have this cult member you chased. He's getting ready to blast you with the shotgun, and then the giant spider grabs him and cuts him in half. So the giant spider was, wasn't super difficult boss. Just keep moving while you're shooting, move, shoot, move, shoot. It will shoot a web at you. If it gets a hold of you, it slows you down. You either have to shoot the shots, break the web, or using a melee weapon like the crowbar will break it. But when it's got just slowed down, that's where things are dangerous. It will shoot like this acid at you that will drain your health pretty fast. It can also run up and just start attacking you. If it corners you, it's going to definitely use its pincher attack. That's pretty dangerous. But it wasn't a super difficult boss. It didn't have a whole lot of life, especially the shotgun. Shotgun definitely was really good. Using your crowbar, if you ran up to a quick boom, 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 2 or 3 hits, bounce, 2 or 3 hits, bounce. It was a good boss fight. It was pretty fun. There's this monsters beast in the caves. It was a nice little Holy Grail callback. It's the rabbit from that movie. Um, this boss, I didn't actually get a chance to fight it. At that point of the game, I was low on health and ammo, and I just didn't find it worth it to keep fighting it. It's really quick. Its damage is pretty good. I just, the best thing to do is with the shotgun is shoot it. It will drop down and then go ahead and run. I did see some tactics where people were shooting with the shotgun and then switching to the crowbar. Boom, boom, boom. Pull the shotgun out again so you can drop it. Boom, boom, boom with the crowbar. That was a pretty good tactic. If you do kill the monstrous beast, it drops a key, and you can use that key to unlock the cell in the middle of the underground tomb that it's in. And there's a holy water in there. So great opportunity to get holy water if you're stacked on ammo. If not, just run. It's not a boss that you have to fight. It doesn't do it. Killing it is not something you need to do to move forward in the game. The Chainsaw Psycho, he was definitely a close second to one of my favorites in the terms of boss battles. So this is the dude you actually see in the beginning of the game holding the head of the woman. He's actually a really cool boss. So pretty much the way to deal with this is he's gonna run at you with his chainsaw, kind of like Billy from Dead by Daylight. Except that when he runs up to you, then there's about a 2-second delay when he gets ready for his chainsaw swing. That's when you run. So let him run up to you and then move out of the way when he does his chainsaw swing. So the best thing is you'll see these 2 generators on each side of the room. Lead him over there, let him go for his chainsaw swing, move out of the way, shoot the generator, he'll drop down to his knees, right? And then on his back pops up like this like slug looking thing, kind of looks like the creature on Sybil from Silent Hill, right? I used the Magnum, 2 shots to the back, and then a shotgun blast. Killed him. So he wasn't a super difficult boss. He is a 1-shot kill, though. He gets you in his chainsaw sweep. You're done. It's over with, kind of like Resident Evil 4. But he was definitely a fun boss. Not super difficult. Like I said, just hit him with the electricity from the generator, then hit him twice in the back with a Magnum and a shotgun. Boom, done, over with. There is an optional boss in the kitchen. So you'll see when you unlock the pantry door, there's like all those people who are speared, and there's the woman who's holding the coin. So you had to grab that coin in the first place for the coin puzzle, and that meat boss shows up, right? Another optional boss you don't have to kill, but he's definitely worth killing because killing him gives you the pantry key, which is used for the chest. He wasn't a super difficult boss. Another one that ran up would do a lot of damage, but the shotgun made pretty quick work of him. The first time I did face him, though, when I grabbed the coin, I did not have like a lot of weapons, so I just took off running and came back and fought him afterwards. But he was really cool, a lot of fun. And then I would say the in-game boss, that one was a little difficult. His normal sword attacks are easy to dodge, just not very fast. Just hit him with a crowbar and stuff. His red power bubbles were like he shoots like these bubbles that follow you around until you shoot him or use a crowbar or something to destroy him. I didn't have much luck with like melee attacks, so the pistol came in handy for this point. They do a lot of damage though, so try not to get hit by them. His power attack where he like stabs his sword on the ground and then swings it forward, shooting out 3 red flames. That is really dangerous. Kind of pretty easy to dodge. So pretty much this is where the melee / combo version of the attack made it really difficult, was that his power up for his wind up for this is pretty quick, and it also kind of mimics his regular swings. if you are right next to him when he does this, you won't have much time to run away, and you'll get hit with all three of the red flames, and it will drain your life quickly, if not kill you instantly. So if you know that he's getting ready to use this, to step back, let him do it, because, like I said, they spread out in three different directions. They're easy to dodge if you're pretty far away. Um, that was pretty much it. He will spawn, like I said, the goat guy that I talked about in the monsters before, and he'll spawn some skeletons and the mummy creatures. They can be annoying, but I found the easiest way to actually take care of him though was if you can get the, what do you call it, holy water. If you have holy water with you, just throw some holy water at him. You'll drain him down really quickly. Blast him with a shotgun. He's done and over with. He was pretty difficult at first until I found the holy water. I did probably die about 5 times before I actually started going back and searching for that. But he was a fun boss battle. He was a great boss, definitely I think worthy for being the end boss. There are some honorable mentions though that I wouldn't necessarily call them bosses. There's the Iron Maiden type creature you'll find when you're in the dungeon, when you have to go through this area to grab one of the silver coins to unlock to get to the main boss. You'll see a room full of water when you're running through it. There's regular zombies, but there is the Iron Maiden creature looking thing from Resident Evil 4. One creature, he can't die, but you can shoot limbs off to help slow him down. A shotgun blast to the legs and then just take off running. He will pretty much wipe you out in a few hits though. So and he does chase you while he's underwater, and he'll do like a jump attack. So you'll see the bubbles actually coming at you. It's actually pretty cool. Like I said, he was pretty cool, and that the boss battles definitely they were really cool. I actually had a lot of fun. They were definitely great, and like just design. Each one had a different technique to them. It wasn't just straight up shoot, shoot, shoot. You had different strategies for taking on each boss, and hats off. It was a great experience with the boss battles. So story wise, um, not a complex story. It didn't necessarily have to be. It wasn't, in my opinion, it didn't have to be some mind break blowing story. Pretty much, you just start out in your apartment. News is talking about people being missing. Your TV turns off. You turn around and you see the chainsaw dude holding the head of the dead woman. Right, your character's like, okay, I'm tired. I must have to go to bed. So you get some pizza, take a shower, and then you go to sleep. Your character does talking about having nightmares and hope he doesn't have any more. You pretty much wake up in a coffin. You break out of it, and what do you know? You're in front of a giant mansion, right? Doors locked, gates locked. So head towards the side of the mansion, where you meet this cat, this black cat. He reminds you a lot of Sebastian from Sabrina the Teenage Witch. He just pretty much talks about he's not impressed with you, and he's pretty sure you're gonna die. No one escapes, right? That's what he says. And he takes off running, and then you head down the stairs. There's a zombie and someone, real Resident Evil 1 style. You can just grab the knife from him and just take off running. You don't have to fight him. And then, once you come in the door, you're met to the main hall of the manor. Looks a lot like Resident Evil 1. Story wise, though, I'm not going to go into like play by play of the story. You end up finding diaries talking about a man and a woman who bought the mansion, the manor, and how the wife will talk about in her diary how she's concerned because the husband's always down in the basement. You do end up meeting the husband. At least that's who I believe it was. Ends up killing himself. Kind of gruesome. That's how you get the Magnum. There are some other cutscenes. You do meet some other NPCs. One guy you met in the cabin, he was pretty funny. He's getting drunk, and when you go into the other room, a cult member actually walks in and just shoots him with a shotgun. It's actually kind of a cool scene. You know, pretty much haunted mansion. The original owner found a demon-like creature in the bottom, told him to pretty much kill everyone. So that's kind of the story. There's more to it, of course. You read the diaries and you get into it. Like I said, the story to me, like I wasn't expecting anything mind-blowing. Did enjoy it. It was nice fun reading the what do you call it, the diaries, and getting some little insight and stuff. I did enjoy the Easter eggs, or like the cameos. So when you're one of the rooms that you unlock with the bolt cutters, there's Angela, right? And she's the insane woman. She's just laughing out, insanely while she's cutting some body up. The first time I saw her, I just shot her right away, right? Just blasted her with a Magnum because I figured she must probably gonna try to kill me. I did reload the game, decide, you know what, let's see if I can go up and actually talk to her. I'm assuming I have to kill her anyways. She doesn't talk to you. She just immediately starts cutting you up like roast beef. That was really cool though. Um, you do run into James from Silent Hill 2. He's fighting some of the cult members down in the dungeon. He actually does kill one of them with the pistol pipe, but then he gets blasted in the chest and in the face with a shotgun. Thought that was kind of funny and cool. And then finally, you do see Harry from Silent Hill 1. He's down in the basement right before, sorry, the dungeon right before you get to the mysterious beast. And he actually is the one that tells you about the beast and that you should just run away. And he died from his injuries from that beast. So I wish he would have kind of had a little bit more cooler death, but it was kind of nice. Another one little Easter egg that I did like a lot was that when you first enter the dungeon and you walk into one of the main doors, you'll see a guy who's just slamming his head against the wall, and as soon as you walk up to him, his head explodes like Dead Space, and that was a really cool. It was great. I did enjoy the cameos and stuff, and it was great. Like it's something, like I said, the puzzles and stuff being a lot like other games and stuff. So story wise, I think the story's probably in terms of like quality was probably a little more of the weaker side. Um, Nothing didn't seem like it was anything groundbreaking, but it didn't have to be. Um, you know, this game to me was more just going around killing monsters and stuff. It's a great speed running game, by the way. And like I said, the Easter eggs and stuff, they were a lot of fun. So hats off to that. Where the game gets a nice replayability, in my opinion, besides like the speed running the story, is that you have two different modes you unlock after you beat the game. You have your horde mode, which is your standard horde mode. You know, you enter a safe room, you pick your weapons out, you get 500 points off the bat to choose what you want, and then you go and you kill creatures, wave after wave of increasingly difficult creatures. I found that the Tommy gun was a really good one to start out with because you get a pistol by default, so you can grab more ammo for the pistol and then grab a weapon you want. So I definitely started with the Tommy gun. It was a great weapon to use against the monsters. I only played a few waves because I wasn't super invested in horde mode. The only game in horde mode that I've ever actually cared much about was Gears of War's horde mode and Mass Effect 3's horde mode. Besides that, horde mode's kind of all the same to me. It's a nice, great little addition. It could be a lot of fun if you're into that. Like I said, played very well. You get to choose a map and weapons and stuff. So there's usually about 3 or 4 entrances that the creatures can come out of. So you can't just like sit in one spot and just tunnel them, right? You have to definitely keep moving around and stuff. So it was a great little game mode. And then dungeon mode. Dungeon mode was probably my favorite. And probably I think I kind of almost like dungeon mode's a little bit more than the main story. So dungeon mode is, you every dungeon is generated differently. It's always random. So you never have the same dungeon, right? So you start in a dark dungeon at the bottom floor. You have to go through killing monsters. What I do like about dungeon mode is that there is an exit, right? And there's a bunch of rooms to look through, and then there's an exit. So you can go to each room and you can raid gold bars or coins, and you can also get coins for killing monsters and stuff that you come across, zombies, dogs, and such. But you don't necessarily have to kill them. Like you could check a room out. You're like, okay, there's like 3 zombies in here. I don't really want to waste ammo on them. There's 4 gold bars. I grab these gold bars and just bounce out of this room and look for the exit. And every time you get to the exit, you get to a safe room where you can use your points that you got from either raiding gold or killing monsters to buy more ammo, buy more weapons, and so forth, and then just keep going on. And what I really did like about the dungeon part 2 is that at least the first few waves, the first few floors that I went on, I'm definitely be playing more. I haven't played a whole lot. The first few floors you're on, you definitely have to use a flashlight the whole time, so that was nice added tension. And it was nice. It was pretty, not super scary because it's retro, but it was scary enough, and I felt that the tension was great. And checking each corner as you're running by, make sure you're not going to get grabbed by a zombie, was great. So I think the dungeon mode kind of was like one of the best highlights of this game in terms of when it came to like horde mode, story, and dungeon. Dungeon mode definitely has a lot of replayability, so I definitely suggest checking that out after you beat the game. So overall, the game is definitely worth the $5, right? I definitely suggest anyone who's a fan of old survival horror, definitely pick this game up if you're on PC. It was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with it. I found it difficult enough, at least on normal, that it was worth playing. And then on like that, there's also I think it's like nightmare hard mode. I haven't played that yet, but If it's anything, imagine like most old survival horror games, it's definitely going to amp it up. Also, like I said, the game's great for speedrunning. Had a lot. It would be really fun. I've seen people speedrunning it on the story mode. Um, Dungeon mode is definitely the highlight. Definitely worth buying this game alone for dungeon mode, in my opinion. Just going through randomly generated dungeons, checking out whatever monsters are. One thing I did not bring up on my horde and dungeon section review is that you can actually disable cult members. I think cult members can be a little bit of a pain. I can imagine seeing why that might be a turn off for people when they're playing these modes. They may not want to have to face face cult members while they're trying to take out other creatures. So you can disable those. I never found a reason to disable them. The cult members never bothered me too much. They added a level of difficulty that I had fun with. But overall, the game was great. Hats off to the developers. Nice little indie game, not overpriced, has replayability, definitely worth picking up. So that's it for my review, and I appreciate everyone who's coming and watching it. Thank you. Please give me any feedback in the comment section. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Also, love to hear what next game you guys like to see me review. So in the meantime, thanks for watching. You guys have a great day.